The Maratona Dles Dolomites is 138 kilometers long, and over that distance you will be covering 7 major climbs. They are
Passo Campolongo,
the Passo Pordoi,
Passo Sella,
the Passo Gardena,
Passo Campolongo again,
the Passo João,
and finally the Passo Falzarego. The long route of the Maratona is not to be taken lightly.
No, so if you want to get around this stunningly beautiful yet brutal course, you're going to need to give yourself several months of preparation. And the same applies, in fact, for any long distance sportive you're planning on doing this year. So coming up are some hints and tips to make sure that you're headed in the right direction.
Riding the Maratona is an ultimate test of your fitness and endurance, both physically and mentally. And when you bear in mind it's going to take competitors from between 4.5 and 10 hours, you'll know what we mean.
Yeah, and that is exactly why you need a structured plan.
If you're relatively new to the sport, it's important that you build up your training gradually and don't rush into things. It's very easy to get too keen, too early, and to overtrain. So try and focus this enthusiasm on getting structure and routine into your training. So make a plan that's realistic and that you're confident you can achieve.
Yes, that's right. Consistency really is the key. We've said this before, and I'm about to say it again, but doing 5 one-hour rides per week is far more beneficial than getting in 1 5-hour ride at the weekend. And that consistency, that regularity also makes cycling a habit, which in turn makes it easier to get out on your bike in the first place each day. Once you've got that consistency in place, you can then start to build in the longer rides and the intensity. So coming up is a guide, a 4-month training guide, which you can use as a template.
Month number 1, establish your routine. So that's 5 riding days per week, and that's 5 rides of 1 hour each, with then 2 easy days. And that's for 3 weeks. And then the 4th week is an easy week to help you recover. And that includes 3 one-hour rides. But remember, there is a bit of flexibility built into that. You can do a little bit more or a little bit less. It's a good idea to use your commute to train, breaking down the hours riding into 2 half-hour sessions.
In month 2, we are going to build up the duration of your ride and therefore the distance as well, and also incorporate some climbs. So again, do 5 rides per week. 3 of them still remain at 1 hour, but you want to do 1 2-hour ride, and you also want to do 1 3-hour ride where you try to incorporate some climbs. The longer the climbs, the better. You're still taking 2 easy days, and you're going to do that for 3 weeks. And then the 4th week, once again, take it slightly easier, incorporating 4 1-hour rides. Your bonus tip for month 2 is simply to keep an eye on the weather forecast. That way you can plan your longer ride on the day when it's going to be very nice to ride your bike. Being flexible like this is going to allow you to do the same amount of work, but make it more enjoyable.
Month number 3, you need to look at incorporating a fair degree of intensity. So it's still 5 days riding and 2 days of rest. Now 3 of the rides will be 1 hour in duration, but incorporate into those rides 4 or 5 flat out 10-second sprints. Now 1 of the rides is going to be 2 hours, but incorporate into that particular session 3 or 4 10-second sustainable hard efforts, like a time trial sort of pace. Now then in your 4-hour ride, really focus on riding any hills that you climb at sustainable yet difficult effort level. And then do that for 3 weeks, and then as before, week 4 is nice and easy. So 3 1-hour rides and a 2-hour ride. Break up your training and add a nice bit of intensity by using once or twice a week a home trainer. You get a fantastic workout and it's really, really time effective, which is cool if you're short on time.
And finally, month 4, where we're still continuing to build up both the distance and the intensity. So 5 days per week of training still. We're going to have 3 days where you're doing 1 hour, and you want to include some sustained efforts of 5 minutes each. 1 ride of 2 hours with some slightly longer 10-minute sustained efforts at a higher intensity. And then 1 much longer ride, which could be around about 4 hours when the weather is nice. And again, you want to include some efforts, preferably on the climbs. Now, this final month's preparation will finish with around 2 weeks to go until your event. And so at some point during this month, you want to try and incorporate a much longer ride, which is coming up towards the duration you're expecting your event to take you. Our bonus tip for month number 4 is to make sure that your body is used to the fuel that you're planning on having on the day of the event. And you can do this simply by eating or consuming it during your training rides in the run-up. The last thing that you want to do is try a new plan or new products when it comes to nutrition on the day of the event.
The same principles of graduated training apply to all levels of ability, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or you're very experienced.
Yeah, and that effectively is going to relate to the duration and volume each week and also to the intensity. So if you are more of an intermediate rider, so you've been riding your bike for a year or two, you might want to now put a couple of extra hours a week and also incorporate a couple of shorter events on the run up to your goal, almost acting like dry runs. And if you're an advanced rider that's been riding for a few years and you want to take things to the next level, again, you can increase the volume and the intensity, include a couple of events pre-event, pre-goal, and also maybe pin some numbers on and do a couple of races as well.
Yeah, but the one thing that is crucial, regardless of your capabilities, is that you taper in the last 7 to 10 days before the Maratona. And by that we mean reducing your training intensity and volume by around a half, with the objective being to leave you fresh both mentally and physically. Keeping a training diary or journal won't just allow you to check the progress that you made over the previous weeks, but it also act as a great motivator, as you're far likely to actually do what you've actually written down in the first place. So use your diary or journal to plan and then note down what you've achieved and also how you feel.
You'll also then be able to retrospectively look back through what you've been doing and analyse what works best for you.
Dan, that's not my training diary.
Just hope not, there's nothing in it. There are many benefits to riding on your own. You'll be able to concentrate fully on what you want to achieve out of a training session, and the quality is generally higher. And you might not have any choice if you're incorporating a commute, for example, into your training. But when it comes to the longer rides at the weekend, for example, there's nothing quite like riding with a friend or a group to help pass the time quicker. And also arranging to meet somebody or some people at a certain place at a certain time is probably going to prevent you from procrastinating.
And also riding with friends or a friend who may be a little bit fitter is a really good way to test yourself, because generally you can actually dig that bit deeper and go harder than when you're riding solo. Or if you end up riding in a bigger group, that's an ideal opportunity to hone your group riding skills.
It is vitally important that you allow yourself enough rest in order for your body to make the necessary physiological adaptations. Because essentially when you're out training, you are breaking your muscles down, and it is during rest that your body repairs those muscles, which will hopefully make you fitter and faster. Don't get enough rest, and what you risk is overtraining, or even worse, getting ill.
Now, if at any point during your training period you feel overly fatigued and your motivation is at a low ebb, like Dan's clearly is today, it's important that you take a day off. Listen to your body, and that's especially important if you're training around a full-time job, study and a family. That's your nut.
On the mate, cheers. So have a plan in place, gradually increase the workload and make sure that you are consistent, but also that you're flexible and that you listen to your body.
And taper. Don't forget to taper. And then we think you'll be as ready as you can possibly be. Now, GCN is your one-stop shop for everything cycling. If you haven't subscribed, you can do so by clicking on the globe.
And now you can watch the following 2 videos, the first of which you might remember from the intro to this video. It is the Passo Pordoi, the second climb that you will be completing on the Maratona, whichever route you do. Climb along to it with me and Lasty in this training session.
Or you could click just down here for how to get fit in 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
30 minutes.